Never been this close to the mountain before. Looks so big. Wish Mom was here to see it.
Kratos might be the face of God of War, but his son has become its heart and soul. Atreus didn't just give his father a second shot at life, he did the same for God of War as a franchise as well. Atreus was central to the way God of War reinvented itself with the 2018 game in more ways than one, and it goes without saying that he will be a crucial part of the experience in the upcoming God of War Ragnarok as well. So ahead of the highly anticipated sequel's launch, here we are going to look back at the full story of Atreus.
What are you doing?
We have to help him.
Break right. Find an angle. Wait for my mark.
And before we start from the beginning, we're just going to get something super important out of the way first, even though it's one of the final things we found out in the game's chronology, since we'll be talking about it pretty much throughout this recap. Atreus is Loki. That's one of the biggest twists of God of War 2018. Like the series has often done, it puts its own spin on the character of Loki with some interesting elements thrown in there. But from Atreus' ability to talk to animals, to how many languages he could speak, from his association with wolves, to the fact that he's the son of Loife the Just, a Jotnar, and Kratos, a part Titan, which is essentially the Greek mythology version of a giant, the game sets up that momentous reveal spectacularly. With that in mind, let's go back to the beginning, before God of War 2018 begins. Atreus has spent his entire life in the cabin where he, his mother, and his father live. Faye's wards protect the surrounding area and keep intruders out, while they themselves stay within its bounds. Due to Atreus' inner conflict of having the parentage that he does, but having no idea of his own true nature, he's always been afflicted with a strange sickness, one that not only often rears its head as sudden bouts of anger, which is appropriate enough for Kratos' son, but also makes him weak and sickly. Upon the death of Faye, however, to fulfill her wish of having her ashes scattered on the highest peak in all the realms, Atreus and Kratos finally leave their cabin and step out into the dangerous world of Midgard. It takes some convincing, sure. Given Atreus' condition, Kratos is reluctant to leave the safety of their home and go on such a long and arduous journey. But circumstances force their hand when, thanks to Faye's clever planning, the wards surrounding their home are broken and Baldur comes knocking on their door. Realizing that they are no longer safe at the cabin, Kratos agrees to travel to the highest peak in all the realms with Atreus. There is, of course, a lot that happens on this journey, but it serves multiple purposes. One of the more important ones, and one that Faye had probably hoped for before she died, is to finally bring Atreus and Kratos closer together as son and father, perhaps for the first time in their lives. The two butt heads often throughout their journey, and disagree on a lot.
Not like you would even care if she was.
Mind your tongue, boy! Until our journey is over, one of us must remain focused. Do not mistake my silence for lack of grief.
And they're both grieving the loss of Faye in their own ways, and the fact that Kratos keeps a great deal of secrets from Atreus leads to plenty of frustration for the boy. It doesn't help, of course, that their relationship up to that point has been functional at best. Kratos has always been a distant father to him, and Atreus isn't exactly thrilled about the fact that the parent that he had always loved and felt close to is the one that's died. Through the many trials and tribulations of their journey, however, the two end up getting closer to understanding each other than they ever have.
What did you write?
I asked them to watch over Mother.
One of those aforementioned trials and tribulations leads to Kratos having to reveal some of the many things that he's always withheld from Atreus. Throughout the first half of God of War 2018, it's made abundantly clear that Atreus, not knowing the full extent of his nature as part god, what with Kratos being his father, is making him have more frequent bouts of his sickness. Things come to a head when the two of them clash with Thor's sons, Magni and Modi. Though they emerge victorious from the fight, Atreus, after having another fit of rage, ends up falling unconscious. With the help of Freya and the Blades of Chaos, Kratos is able to help Atreus recover. after which he finally tells him that he is a god, and that in turn, so is Atreus. And from there, another important character arc kicks off for Atreus, figuring out what kind of god he's going to be. After finding out from Kratos that he's part god, Atreus grows extremely cocky, and quite abruptly at that, but from the point up until the end of the game, trying to teach him to be better than he was becomes one of the main driving forces for Kratos. A huge turning point in that arc comes towards the end of the game, when after killing Baldur, Kratos reveals to Atreus bits and pieces of his past as the notorious Ghost of Sparta, and the fact that he killed Zeus, his own father. It is at this point that, with Kratos' help, Atreus comes to the realization that he needs to be the one to break the endless cycle of cruelty and violence that those who came before him perpetuated. Of course, there's still a great deal about Kratos' past that he doesn't know, like the fact that he killed his own wife and daughter back in Greece. So it's safe to say that things aren't necessarily set in stone for Atreus where his disposition towards his father is concerned.
You might want to turn away, boy. This won't be pretty.
I won't let you hurt him.
No, boy.
Interestingly, Atreus also plays a key role in the beginning of Fimbulwinter, which in turn leads to Ragnarok. That's another instance of God of War smartly interpreting Norse mythology with its own wrinkles thrown in. While the actual mythology portrays Baldur's death as the result of another one of Loki's tricks, in God of War 2018, Atreus accidentally ends up causing it, when Baldur punches him and ends up getting stabbed by a mistletoe arrowhead through his hand, having been placed there by Kratos quite a ways back to fix the strap on Atreus' quiver. Mistletoe, of course, breaks Baldur's curse and nullifies his self-healing, which is ultimately how Kratos ends up snapping his neck and killing him. All of this combined, the beginning of Ragnarok, Atreus trying to figure out what kind of god he's going to be, him finding out that he's Loki and part Jotnar, is going to form the backbone not only of his own personal arc in God of War Ragnarok, but the entire game's story. Norse mythology puts Loki right in the center of its most momentous events, which, of course, includes Ragnarok and the destruction of the Aesir. So it'll be interesting to see what spin the game puts on that. Either way, there's little doubt in anyone's mind that Atreus' story is going to, once again, be the heart and soul of the game.
That's all for now. If you enjoy what you saw, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, now is a great time to subscribe. We upload brand new videos every single day. After subscribing, don't forget to enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time, right here on Gaming Bolt.